My name is Shawn. I am a product specialist here at Club Runner. And with me today is Omar, who is also a product specialist. And together we'll be going over some training and best practices when it comes to virtual events and volunteer management. So some things we are going to cover today. We're going to go over setting up and managing an event, as well as setting up and managing volunteer lists. And we are going to spend some time towards the end to talk about best practices that your club can implement when you are working with the events and volunteer module. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
So while Shawn gets the website ready, please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box, and we'd love to continue the discussion. So continue to chat with each other in the chat box. We've gotten great feedback and learned lots of new insights about what clubs are doing from the chat box and the questions. We'd definitely like to continue to receive that feedback. Without further ado, I'll let Shawn take it away for events.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Omar. So now we have our page here. And just before we dive in, we do have a couple of polls set up for you that I'd like to send out. So we'd like to gauge, how the club uses both the event module and the volunteer module. So we will be sending out those polls. So they should pop up on your screen shortly. And if you can just answer those questions, and that way we'll grab that information. So while you guys are doing that, we will continue with the session. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And let's go into the member area. Okay, and so first item we are going to talk about is creating events in Event Planner. So as we can see, once we log in, we see our new dashboard. We can scroll down to the bottom or a little bit further down, and we see events and volunteering. And within there, you have Event Planner, this button here. So you can access the Event Planner through this button here, or if you scroll up to the top on the light blue menu bar near the top, you can click Events and click Event Planner. So now that we are here, we can see we do currently have two different events set up, but we're going to go ahead and create our own today. So let's go ahead and click Create a New Event. Okay, and since we're focusing on virtual events, we're going to create a virtual cooking class. So we do have the option here to put the event code. It is optional. It's used for when the club has the online payment. It'll identify which event the payment is for. So we'll leave that for now. We also have the option to set the status as active or draft. So if you want to set this up and get going right away, you can leave it as active. Or if you want to create it and come back and update it before it goes live, you can set it as draft. We'll leave it as active for now. We also have event types, so you can actually set what type of event this is. So we'll go ahead and select club meeting. And this will change the color of the event on the calendar on the website. So that does that as well. Let's go ahead and enter a date and time. We'll do it for the end of the month. And do this. Perfect. And next we have the description. So in the description, you can talk a little bit more about what the event is. And specifically because we are doing a virtual cooking class, obviously we're going to be doing this online. And if you have the online meeting set up with a password, what you can do is you could put in the description that the password will be provided via email at a later date. So you can just say, join us for our first. And we do want to include that. So password for online meeting will be provided closer to the date. So you do want to include just a note here so that they know that there will be a password and that they will receive it later on. Down below here, we have the option to enable registration. We're going to leave it as no. I'm going to show you how to do that shortly. And below that, we do have the option for an image. So if the club does have a nice flyer or image for the event, you can definitely put it in here. I do have one here that I got from Pexels, and I made sure that it is free to use. So we'll quickly use that there. And we also have the option to select an event chair, and it's a drop-down menu, which includes all of your members. And if you select a certain member, it'll actually update the email field with the email address they have on file. So that's fine. And below, we have the location information. So if you are having an event, physically, you can put the location and address information. For now, we're just going to put online. And we can scroll down. We have the display options here as well. So we can actually control where this event will appear. I'm just going to click no for show map because we don't have any. And I'm going to go ahead and just click save. Perfect. And now you can see here we have our event. We have the very nice picture of a pie that hopefully we will make. So now that we have that set up, let's take a quick look here. I'm going to go onto our website on another tab that I have open. And I'm on the events list page. And if I scroll down, I will see the virtual cooking class here. So let's go ahead and click it. And we can see here's our contact on the left. We have our image and all of the information, including the description. So let's go back to edit the event. And let's edit the links. So say the event has some, the club wants to include some links for the event. In this case, maybe we have some links to a website with the recipe that we're going to be using. So I'm going to go ahead and click add link. There we go. And we can put our website. We'll just set it to Google. That's okay. And I'll go ahead and click save. Perfect. And now you can see that we have created our link. Let's go back to event services, and we'll take a look and see what that looks like shortly here. Next, we have download files. So if the club has some files, or if there's a flyer that you want people to be able to download, you can do that through here. One thing to note, which you'll see noted up at the top here, all files are public, so be very careful and mindful of that. You don't want to include any personal information because they will be public. So just be mindful of that and be careful. So we're going to go ahead and click Add Download File. We're going to give it a title. So you can put, for example, an online cookbook or something like that. So let's say online cook. Okay. And we're just going to drag in our file. I don't actually have an online cookbook, so I'm just going to reuse our image that we have here. I'm just going to go ahead and click save. Perfect. And we can see it here. We're going to go back to event services. And let's go back to our website and let's take a look and see what it looks like now. So if we refresh, we'll see on the left now we have event links, and we have our recipe linked, and we have event attachment, and we have our online cookbook. So all of the information that people need for this event is all located here. So now that we have that portion of the event set up, we're going to scroll down a little bit and we're going to talk about the registration options. So as you can see here, and as I mentioned earlier, we did not enable registration. So I'm going to go ahead and click Edit Registration Options here. And when enabling the registration, you want to make sure that this checkbox is enabled. So this is what will enable the registration. And down below, we have the start and end time. So very important to note that this is the registration window period, it's not the start and end date for the actual event, but rather when people can actually register for this event. So if the club wants to close registration a little earlier, you can do that from here. And if the club wants to start registration a little later, that can be done here. So just note that this is not the event start date and end date, it's the registration. There's also an option here for the fee, which we will talk about shortly. And we do have a few other options here, like allow public registration and allow members to register guests. So we'll go ahead and save that. Perfect. Now, once we do that, we see that we have a lot more registration options available for us here. Right now, obviously, we have 0 people registered, but that's okay. On the left here, we have various reports. So we have registered attendees summary and detail, as well as the alphabetical list of attendees. And we do have the download options for those reports as well. And another nice feature is the prepare name tags. So you can prepare name tags for the registrants. And you do have a few options. You can do a badge or a sticker. So you can definitely do that. And then on the right here, under register, we can we have different registration options. So if we want to go in and register members through the admin area, we can definitely do that from here. And we'll take a look at that shortly, but I do want to skip ahead just a bit and go down to the payment settings. So let's go ahead and click Change Payment Settings. And this is where we are going to set up our fee, how much it costs to register for the event. So let's just say this is going to be $10. It's going to be Canadian dollar. Here we have for the payment method, if the club has an online payment account, it will appear here. So we'll go ahead and select the payment account. We do have the option to require members to pay before registering. So that way we know that they've paid and they're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and check yes. And we can also allow pay by check. So I'll go ahead and click yes as well. And of course, you can fill out the information below. I'll just leave it like that. Go ahead and save. And you can see here we have our payment settings set up. And we also have this little notice saying that members must pay before the registration is completed. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and register a member. So we're going to click this register members link. We're going to scroll down and let's register Erica here. So I'm going to go ahead and just click register. And I'm registering on behalf of Erica. So let's do that. It's going to confirm. And now you can see it changes the status to attending and there's an option to pay. So right now they've attended, but they haven't paid yet. So say Erica sends me the money and we're going to go ahead and click pay here. And we're going to record payment. And they paid by cash. So that's perfect. And they gave us the $10. We're going to go ahead and click save. And now we can see the $10 has been processed. So one thing I do want to note is that if the club does have the online payment module and the members pay online, all of this will be automated. So you don't have to worry about going into the event and marking the payment. The system will do that automatically for you. So if you have the online payments, that does make it much easier. So now that we have all of our event information set up, everything is good to go. We do have our one registrant here. Let's scroll down to the bottom and we see our email section. So let's start with the new invitation. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And you'll see here it's the standard email page. And if we scroll down, you'll see that when we click new invitation, we have all of this information that's already populated. And you'll see a lot of these $ event name $. And what that is that's a mail merge field. And what the system will do is it will replace this $ event name with the actual event name, as well as the other information. So with the invitation, you can come in here and you can customize it if you'd like, but if you'd rather just send it out, this will work perfectly fine. People can register using this invitation without any further modifications. So I'll go ahead and save as draft so we can work through that later. And we're going to scroll down and we're going to talk about new email so we can compare the two. So let's click new email. And again, very similar interface, but if we scroll down, we'll see that the email contains very basic information. It doesn't have all of the event information. So if you're looking to send out invitations, definitely use the invitation option. If you're looking to just send out emails to people, then you can definitely use the email option, since this is like I guess like a blank canvas. So you can enter in whatever you'd like. Let's go back to event details. And now that we've done that, we've set up our event. Let's go back to the website and let's just refresh. Let's see how it looks. So now we can see there's a new section on the left for online registration for members and guests. So that's perfect. We've set up our event. Now, what we want to do is we want to be able to accept volunteers for this event. So maybe we want people to volunteer for introduction to introduce the chef that'll help us with the event. So let's go ahead and create that volunteer sign up list. So you can do it by when you're in the event, you can click here or click create sign up list, or you can scroll up to the top, click volunteers and click view sign up lists. And you can see here at the moment, I do have two already set up. So let's go ahead and let's create our own. So let's go ahead and click create new sign up list. Okay, we're going to name it virtual cooking class volunteers. And we'll set the start date. Okay, and the end date. I can't remember which time I put, so I think it was like this. We'll enter in the time. Okay. And we do have the option directly below to enable public registration, as well as link with an event. So these options are enhanced features. So we do have a basic module for the volunteers, and we also have the enhanced version. So let's take a look at the differences. I do have a tab open here on our website. If we scroll down, we can see we have a nice chart here that outlines the difference. And as you can see here, the ability to create sign-up lists, public sign-up lists, as well as standalone sign-up lists, which means they're not associated with a particular event in Club Runner, are features of the enhanced version. So with the enhanced version, you do get a lot of other features. And on top of that, if you scroll down, we do have much more increased limits for how many sign-up lists you can create, how many active sign-up lists, sorry, that you can have, as well as how many volunteers you can register. So there is additional functionality and increased limits with the enhanced version. And I did just want to point out that these two options are enhanced. So if you don't have the enhanced version, this will be grayed out, and the no option will be selected, and the link with an event will also be selected. So we'll go ahead and we want this to be members only, and we do want to link this with an event. So let's go ahead and select the event, which is our virtual cooking class. And we can select our sign up list chair. I'll just keep myself there. And we have the option to email chair on all confirmations. So whenever a volunteer registers, I'll get an email notification about that. And down at the bottom here, we have task defaults. So what you can do is you can actually set a nice structure for the sign up list. So this is a good starting point. And like it says here, you can change this later. So let's go ahead and set up some tasks. So we're going to have 2 groups. Let's see, 2 tasks per group. Okay. And let's have 2 members per group. And down at the bottom, we have the option to set a start time for the tasks. We can go ahead and click yes, just to see how that works. And let's set this. End time will be 2:21. Perfect. So it's going to be the full session there. And we also have the option to increment the tasks. So you can increment by date if it spans over multiple days, or you can increment by time, so hours and minutes. For now, we don't need that, but you do have that option to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and click create sign up, and let's see what this looks like. Perfect. So now you can see that we've created the 2 groups as well as the 2 tasks within each group, and 2 volunteers are required. So it's an easy way to set up the starting point for your sign up list. And obviously we don't want things like group 1 and group 2. So we can go in and we can click edit. And we can change the name. So in this case, let's say there's 2 sessions. So we have we're going to be making a breakfast. Okay, and we are also going to make a dessert. 2 most important meals. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save. And now you can see the groups have been updated. And we can also do the same for the task. So if I click edit, we can change the details of the task. So let's just change this to intro introductions. Okay, and let's save it. And let's go ahead and edit. And let's say we need some moderators. So we can do that as well. Perfect. So now that we have that, we won't worry about changing these. That's okay, shift 1 and shift 2. But you would want to go through and make sure you clean that all up. But once we have that all set up, let's go back here, refresh. So this is back on our event, and you'll see now there's another button. So because we linked the volunteer module to the event, we can actually register for the volunteer tasks by clicking this virtual cooking class volunteers button. So again, it's all linked to the event, and it's all available through that event page. Okay, so let's show you how we can register the volunteers for these tasks. So let's go ahead and click introductions here for breakfast. And we can see our tasks here. We're going to go ahead and click sign up. And for member type, we have the option to register a member of my club. And when we do that, we do have a drop down of all of the members, so we can select a specific member. Again, the information does populate automatically. We'll go ahead and click save. Perfect. And you can see Kim is now registered for this introductions. And you'll see that red indicates that no one has signed up. Yellow indicates that people have signed up, but we're not full yet. And if I sign up another person, let's do myself. I'm just avoid an email here. So click save. And you can see green indicates that we're full. So 2 positions are booked. And the last option to register a volunteer is not a member. So you can definitely go in and enter in a non-member manually here by entering in their information. So we'll go ahead and close that. Okay, and let's go back to the volunteer sign up list link. Perfect. So now that we have our virtual cooking class volunteer sign up list ready to go, what we can also talk about now is the notifications. So on the left, under settings and customization, we have this notification settings link. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And you can control which notification to send out. So if it's checked, that means it will send it off. So for example, the first one here, send email to volunteer to confirm new sign up. So when a volunteer registers, the system, because this is enabled, will automatically send this sign up confirmation email template to the member. If we disable it, then they will not receive it. So you can customize which emails go out, as well as customize which email templates to use. So by default, we do have the system templates for each, but if the club is using the enhanced version, then what you can do is on the left here, we're going to go ahead and click email templates. And we can see we have all the system ones, but we can also add a new template. So again, this is specific to the enhanced version. So let's go ahead and just click new template. Okay. And again, we can use these mail merge fields here. So let's just add in the nickname and let's just say thank you. And we can put the sender nickname as well. So very basic. Let's go ahead and just click save. Okay, so now we have our custom template here. And if we go back to notification settings, and if we change this to custom, and we can now select notification template. So you can really customize what emails are sent out and when using this notification settings option along with the email templates. So really nice to be able to do that. Another thing that I want to talk about in regards to the volunteer module is the reports. So we do have a few reports. Let's go back to the sign up list here. Let's open up virtual cooking class. Okay, now when you're in the individual sign up list, you'll see on the left we have reports. So these, the summary and the volunteer report, are specific for this sign up list. So if I go back to view sign up lists, you'll notice we don't have that. So you have to be in a specific volunteer list. So on the left, we'll just go ahead and click summary report, and you'll see we have the 2 registrants or volunteers for the breakfast introductions. And we have the option to show all or just show the filled positions, and we can print it directly from here. So we have that option. And on the left, we have the volunteer report. This just lists out all of the volunteers for this volunteer sign-up list and gives you the option to print as well. So those are two very nice reports within the actual sign-up list. But we also have some additional reports. So on the gray menu bar, so after you click volunteers, on the gray menu bar, you have your member hours report. So we'll go ahead and click on this. And with this, you can actually review a specific member's volunteer hours. So let's do this here. And I do have to set the dates a little further back. So let's just change the dates real quick. To September. Let's go ahead a little bit and let's click show. So we did register Erica, and now we can see Erica has registered for these events here, and it tells you the time as well. If you do want to go into more details, you can click the details option. And you can see here that we have, the volunteer date and when it was recorded and how much time. And we can even click the view sign-up list if we want to be taken to the sign-up list where this that time was created. So we can definitely do that, and you can do that for any member. And if we go up to the top here, we also have club hours report. So very similar to the members hour report, but this is for the entire club. So let's go ahead and click on that. And again, we can just gotta set the date range. Okay, let's change this to 2019. And okay, let's click show. Perfect. And you can see here, we have our volunteer sign-up list, and we can see who has volunteered and for how long. And we have our totals across all volunteers over here. Now you do have the option on the top right here to add volunteer hours. So if the member does some volunteer outside of the registered tasks, you can definitely come in here and enter that information as well. We do have an option for miscellaneous volunteer, or you can even assign it to a specific volunteer list. So if you do want to go in and enter volunteer hours that may have been clocked in, usually outside of the sign-up list that we created, you can definitely do that through here. So let's go back here. We're going to go back to view sign-up lists. And again, we can see all of our lists here. And one thing I do want to note, just before we wrap up the portion with the volunteer list, is as mentioned earlier, we do have limitations on how many active sign-up lists you can have at any given point. So depending on if you have enhanced, it's 25, or if you have the basic, it's 5. So it's really important that once a sign-up list is complete, you no longer need it, go ahead and click the archive option, because once we hit, for example, if we're on basic, once we hit 5 here, this will be grayed out and we won't be able to create new sign-up lists. So if you notice that, please make sure that you go through and you archive the sign-up list. So if I click archive, this is our active list. So I'll click archive here. It'll want me to confirm. Let's go ahead and confirm it. And there we go. And you can still view archive lists. If you go to view archive list here, we can still view them. So they're not deleted, they're just moved to the archive list, and that'll free up another slot for me to create a new sign-up list. So we can definitely do that. So that wraps up the volunteer portion of the session. Now I just want to generate a little bit of discussion in the chat. So I'd like to know if you guys are using the volunteer module in Club Runner, and if you are, what kind of great and interesting volunteer initiatives is the club running? So let us know. Let's share some ideas in the chat. I'd be very interested to see what clubs are doing with the volunteer module for their community. So yeah, please post that in the chat box. And while we do that, we are going to move on to the best practices portion. Okay. So in terms of events and volunteers, there are a few things that I'd like to point out for best practices, and especially now with a lot of clubs moving to virtual events, it is very important to keep in mind. So the first tip or best practice would be noticing the difference between registering for an event versus registering for a sign-up list. So if I go back to my virtual cooking class event that I have on the website, you'll notice here on the left, we have online registration, we have members, guests, and then we also have virtual cooking class. So it's important to differentiate registering for an event versus registering for a sign-up list. So when you register for an event using either the member or guest button, that's basically saying, hey, we're going to be attending this event as an attendee. When you click this virtual cooking class volunteers, we're going to be signing up for a specific volunteer task. So basically we're saying, I'll be attending this event, but not as an attendee, but rather as a volunteer to help. So if you have a case like this, sometimes what I'll suggest is in the description, you can type in, if you are registering as an attendee for the event, please click the members or guest button on the left. Or if you want to register as a volunteer, click the volunteer button. So definitely make a note of that. And another thing that I like to do is because the title of the volunteer list shows up as the text in the button, make it very clear that this is for volunteers. That's why I added the volunteers word. So it's virtual cooking class volunteers. So when I look at this button, I know that this is where I need to go to volunteer. So that would be the first one. Make sure we make sure it's clear that the difference between registering for an event versus registering for a sign-up list. So let's go back into the member area. The next item or best practice that I would suggest is going to be communication. Communication is very key, and especially now with everything going online virtually, it's very important to communicate with members and registrants, make sure they are continuing to be engaged, and ensure that they know what's going on in terms of the events and volunteers. So let's go back to our event here. Okay, let's open up our virtual cooking class. And if we scroll down to the bottom, we did briefly talk about the invitation and the email. So when you do have an event, you do want to make sure that you send out the invitation so that people know that, hey, they're invited, the club wants them to register for the event. So let's go ahead and open up the invitation real quick. So we did talk about all of the stuff on the right, but what we didn't talk about was on the left here. So on our recipient list, you'll see we actually have this unique option here, by status. So if I click the plus sign here, we can see the status of the members. So we can see who hasn't been invited and who's still undecided. So if we come into here, we can send an invitation to all active and other members, the initial invitation, and say a week goes by, some people are still undecided, we can come back in and send the invitation again to let them know, hey, we notice you haven't registered. So you can do that. It's a very powerful tool. So definitely be sure to use that by status when using the invitation. And if we go back and scroll down, we're going to open up the new email. Okay, and again on the left for the email, we do have a buy status. When we click the plus sign, you'll notice it is a little bit different. So here we have people who have registered, declined, or undecided. So if you need to send a follow-up email, or if you, for example, in this case, we have a password for the online meeting. What we can do is we can come in maybe a few days before the event or the day before. We can come here and we can select registered. And we can send the password to the people who have registered for the event. And it's also a great way to reach out to people who have declined or people who are still undecided. So definitely use those options there for the communication aspect. It's very, very important. And if we go to volunteers, we do have something very similar. So let's go to view sign up lists. Let's open up our event or sign up list here. And you'll see on the left here, we have the option to invite people to sign up. So I'll go ahead and click on that. Let's click compose new message. And very similar to the events, we have everything filled out for you. So you can definitely use that. And again, if you want to customize it, you can definitely customize it. But the system does generate this, and it should be ready to go and ready to use. And let's go back to the list. And after the invitation has been sent out, we can also send out emails to the current volunteers. So if we want to reach out to people who have volunteered to thank them or to remind them, we can definitely do that. So if we open this up here, we'll see that we have the breakfast group. That's the group that we created. And we have the introductions, which is the task. So you can select which individual group or task you want to email, and you can send that off as well. So that's very important. So that would be tip number 2 is communication. Tip number 3 is visibility. So making sure that your event and your volunteer sign up list is visible. What people will usually do is on the homepage, they'll include the upcoming events widget. That way people know, what's coming up, what's going on. Another thing I've seen clubs do, if it's like a big event, people will actually go into the website designer and they'll include an image of the flyer or some kind of related image and tell people to click there to register. So that way it brings more attention. So you definitely want to put something on the homepage or even on the menu bar up at the top. So if we come to the designer here, which I know Mickey talked about yesterday in our previous session, you can edit the navigation. And we do have the option to set up these buttons. So as you can see, the donate button is a little more highlighted than the regular links, and that draws more attention to it. So if there's a big event that you really want people to register for, you can set up that button up at the top. Another option, as I mentioned, would be to use a custom widget and insert a image into it so that people are aware. So if you have a flyer, things like that, you can definitely put that on there. So that's for events, making it very clear that the event is coming up. You do want to make sure it is visible and easily accessible on your homepage. And in terms of the volunteer list, of course, we can go back here. When we include a link to the event, if the volunteer list is associated with that event, we will have the button here. So like I mentioned earlier, make a note in the description here to say, volunteers, please click the button. That way they know and it's very clear. Another option here is if the club has the enhanced version, and if the sign-up list is set for public, then we can go ahead and click this sign-up list link, And it'll take us to the public version. Again, this is for enhanced version of the module, but here's our public version of the sign up list, and people can come in and sign up. So you'll definitely want to link to this somewhere from your homepage or on your menu bar if you want to really highlight this specific volunteer sign up list. So that would be tip number 3 is visibility, making sure people know the events that are coming up and make it easily accessible. The last tip, actually I know a lot of you were asking about this, is introducing speakers virtually. Obviously with things you know, going more virtual and online, you know, speakers are doing their speeches online through online meetings. So a couple of tips for that would be to have someone introduce the speaker. It's always nice for someone to you know, introduce the speaker, give some information about what they will talk about, and a little bit about the speaker themselves. And another big tip that might you know, go under the radar a little bit is when the speaker is speaking, make sure everyone's microphone is muted as they speak, so we don't hear any background noises or dogs barking or things like that. So just to make sure that everybody can hear the speaker and enjoy the session. So those would be the tips for virtual speakers. And just a quick question for you guys, just because we are interested. Um, is there any other ways that your club promotes your events? So let us know in the chat how your club promotes events and make sure that members are engaged and are aware of the events and are interested in signing up. So let us know in the chat box. We'd love to hear back from you. Okay, and so that that about wraps up the session here for us. So what I'm going to do is I will pass it back to Omar to run the Q&A session.
Awesome, awesome. So we got plenty of questions. Thank you all for your questions, and thank you, Shawn, for your great presentation. I'll just kick it off with some of the questions here. Linda asks, is there a way to remind your volunteers about the volunteer sign-up list?
Yes, yes. So you can remind them. So if we go here to the notification settings here. So we have the notification settings that you can set up to send them the initial emails. If we actually, sorry, if we go back to sign up lists here and go into the individual sign up list, let's go to send email to volunteers, and this is where you'll do it. So you'll compose a new message, and all of the people who have already registered will be listed here, so you can select them, and you can, you know, we have sign up reminders so that that we can remind them.
Awesome, awesome. So another question a lot of people are asking is, after a volunteer signs up for a volunteer sign-up list, where else can an administrator find them in the club? Is there some thing saved for the contact?
Sorry?
So once a volunteer signs up for a volunteer sign-up list, where are they stored for future emailing purposes?
Okay. So yeah, if you go to contacts and you go to manage groups, we have on the left here, you'll see there's a volunteers group, and they'll all be saved there. So if a member does register for a volunteer task, they will also be added to the volunteers contact group, which you can use to contact them using the email services.
Awesome, awesome. Another question is, where can clubs view past events, and how do they see who's registered for those past events using Event Planner?
Yep. So if we go back to Event Planner here, so we have these 3 events here, but if you notice on the right here, we have a view all events. So we can click that, and now you can see we have all of our events back from 2018. To view the registrations, we can click the event name to open it up, and we can see the 11 people that have registered.
Yeah, and sort of building on that, it would that registration list would also store any non-members who've registered for that event, provided the event is public and open to anybody. Okay, I've got another question. Sort of two questions looped into one here. Is does the volunteer hours report store or report on the archived sign-up lists? And is there sort of a limit on how many volunteers the volunteers report creates?
So for the volunteer report, the maximum span would be 1 year. So if we click club's report here, the maximum date range we can enter is 1 year. So that would be the limit of how much you can set up on the report. And in terms of the archive list, yes, so archived lists will still appear. And actually we can take a look here, because I did archive that one from December of last year.
So just to sort of build on what Shawn's showing, is the report will only be able to collect data for a year, but all of that data is still in the system and searchable. So you could just set it to the year that you're looking for that data and find that data.
Correct, yeah. And you can see here, I did archive that Salvation Army bell ringing list, and it does still show up. So you can still look at the archive list information.
Awesome. We did tackle quite a few questions. Here's another one. Do we have other credit card processors for clubs that don't have an online payment account? Where can they find that information to get another credit card processor? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so what I would recommend is contacting our support team, and we can definitely provide all of the specific details about the payment options for the club.
Yeah, and I think we also have a features page on our official site for the payment accounts. Is that okay if you could pull that up, Shawn? Is that okay? It's the online payments feature page, and it just sort of links to all the places for online payment accounts. Thank you, Shawn.
No problem.
Perfect. Yes.
So we have it here. So you can, like Omar said, you can come to this page and you can select your country, and then there'll be more information. So if we go to the United States, we have all of the information for our US customers, as well as a pricing breakdown.
Awesome, and that'd be how you can collect online payments for your events using Club Runner. I do have just a few more questions. Al Q is asking, how can they color code the recurring calendar items? So we didn't cover calendar items in our session here, but they're just sort of quick ways to make it. So how could they color code those calendar items?
So at the moment, the calendar items cannot be color coded. The color coding on the calendar is specific for event planner.
We could create those event types with the colors and assign them to the event planner.
Yeah, and actually, let me show you. You can, if I go to events and click event types, we can actually create custom types as well. So under event types, we're going to click create a new type. You can set the name. Just add this here. And you can see, so now we have test type with the fundraiser color. So you can create custom types as well for further organization.
Awesome. I think we tackled all of the questions I've marked from the chat here. Let me just quickly consult my notes. Again, we didn't really touch on the My Event Runner system, but we did get a lot of questions about setting variable prices for registration. So do you think you could just touch on that, Shawn, without going into too much detail? We only have about 4 minutes left here.
Yeah, of course. That's a great question. So we do have two different event modules in Club Runner. We have your event planner, which we talked about, so very basic registration. If you do need something a little more complex with variable pricing and things like that, different options, we do have the My Event Runner system, which will allow you to create larger scale and more complex events, as well as set up various ticket types at different costs. You can set up add-ons, as well as early bird pricing. So we do have a lot of features. And actually, let me show you. We have here, if you go to our clubrunnersupport.com, at the very top here on the right, we have My Event Runner. So this is our online manual. So if you are interested in playing around with My Event Runner, or if you want to see the capabilities, you can definitely have a look here, and it'll go through all of the different features of the system. But yes, My Event Runner is for the larger scale, more complex events, whereas Event Planner is just a flat registration fee per member.
Yeah, and I know a lot of clubs have used my Event Runner events to make sort of donation events, and then have each of an add-on with a price be set as those donations. So if you want to learn more, definitely take a look at the guide Shawn has shared from our clubrunnersupport.com website. You'll
Yep.
see the My Event Runner guide button up at the top right of the site.
And just to mention, people do use that for donations, but we do now have the donation module built into Club Runner, so that the club can, if they're looking for donations, the club can use the built-in donation module as well.
Yes. Sorry, I'm just trying to get a few more questions here. So do the volunteer hours report generate a record for non-member volunteers as well? So if just anybody signs up for your volunteer list, are their hours stored?
Yes, they'll be there. So if other users go in there, they will show up as well. So that information will be on there, as you can see here. I'm listed as another user, and that'll show up, and they will
Okay,
show up in the club hours report as well.
perfect. I think that's most of the questions. We're down to just a handful here, but I mean, I think I have a quick one here. Is volunteer hours linked to makeups? I think we're confusing a system here, the attendance and meeting system with its makeups and the volunteer hours. But I think Shawn's got all the wonderful answers about our events, creating those donations as sorry, my event runner events and other event tasks. So thank you so much, Shawn. I'll leave it with you. Um,
Perfect. Yep. Thank you very much, Omar, and thank you everyone for joining our session today. And just to reiterate, please feel free to use our Club Runner support website. We do have lots of different articles, how-to videos, and things like that. So again, the web address is clubrunnersupport.com. And also, please feel free to join us at our Club Runner community. So that's clubrunnercommunity.com. Join the conversation. Any feedback, questions, definitely post in there, and we can start a discussion. I do also want to note that if there was any questions that we missed, we will be going through and recording those questions, answering them, and posting them on the community. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. So thank you very much, everyone, and I'm going to pass it back to Mickey.